It's day 17, which means you've read exactly 6,600 verses. Nice one. The last 10 chapters of Joshua are mainly the boundaries of where people are going to live, and it's really, really boring. Darn you for being so historically rigorous! At least they remember to set up cities that people can flee to if they've accidentally killed someone. It's like a real-life game of cops and robbers. It does all get a little bit hairy in Joshua 22 when some of the Israelites build an altar and it looks like they're going to start worshipping other gods. As we've seen in Deuteronomy 16 and 17, that is a no-no. So they send one of their scariest guys to go and investigate. Phineas, the guy from day 12, who killed a couple with a spear by stabbing them both at the same time. After they get all of that ironed out, it's time for Joshua to say goodbye, and it's interesting here that he mentions the survivors of the nations that they've driven out. That means that contrary to what we thought on day 16, they couldn't have killed absolutely everybody, so that's a good thing. The book of Joshua ends with Joshua saying, you guys have to choose who you're going to serve, but as for me and my household, we are going to serve God. He emphatically encourages them not to rebel against God, and then we get the book of Judges. It starts with the Israelites fighting the Canaanites, and they get a guy called Adonai-Bezek, and they make sure that if he ever wants to have a thumbie war, that's never going to happen. And then in the rest of chapter 1, there's another long list of people that haven't been killed in day 16. And of course that sounds like a good thing to us, but the angel of the Lord in chapter 2 says these guys are going to be a real pain in your bum. By this point, Joshua is dead, and so is everybody who knew and saw all the amazing stuff that God has done up to this point. And so a whole generation forget about him and they start worshipping other gods, just like Moses predicted they would on day 15. And so here begins a cycle where Israel reject God, he oppresses them with enemies, they cry out to God, and he appoints judges to come and rescue them. So we begin with a judge called Othniel, and then another one called Ehud, who stabs a king in the belly who is so fat that the handle of the sword gets swallowed up in all of his flab, and he dies in the toilet. Tune in tomorrow for tips on how to fatally use a tent peg.